welcome to Pop Culture Problems. If you would all just hold on for about 3 hours, get in a line somewhere, and then we'll get things started just like you do at a convention of some sort.
Hey, you. No cutting. Don't you dare try to get in here any earlier than you should.
I've been here for 5 hours already. Josh.
Do you know who I am? I'm Josh Nichols.
I'm John Oderman.
And this is Pop Culture Problems. And we are not a convention, but we should be.
Oh, there should be a Pop Culture Problems convention. Hopefully this grows to that type of height someday.
I think there are Pop Culture Problem conventions. They're just, called other names and they're about pop culture. But we want one that's about us. Like our own thing. Not the actual pop culture convention.
I want a door with a giant blown up head of Josh where you walk through his mouth.
Wow. I would like something that's a little bit more educational. So I was thinking like, a 40-foot inflatable colon, with polyps and you can
walk through and check
and
out
you walk
Josh's
through it.
colon.
It'll not only educate, but it'll remind you of pop culture. I don't know. I just think it could be fun. We could do like a chocolate pudding slip and slide in the colon.
Wow, that's you're getting really deep into that one.
Instead of a convention,
you're really going with the theme there of
Instead of convention, I'm kind of moving towards some sort of like a doctor theme park, where it's like all the rides are like, look, it's the spinning polyp, and you're like,
it's like the episode of Rick and Morty where it's the theme park is it's like they shrink themselves down and there's a theme park in this homeless guy's like body. And different parts of his body are the different rides.
Yeah. But yeah, that's exactly. So yeah,
that's exactly what you're thinking about. Even though you've never seen the show.
Instead of doing a pop culture convention, let's just do the theme park about
the Josh Nichols body theme park convention.
It's the bestest. So now John, have not been to a convention per se. Like the Comic-Cons and the the different what people would see pop culture or nerdy or types of conventions. I've not been to any of those, but
they're a thing now.
Oh yeah, I mean, I think they've been a thing for a while, but
I mean they're a
big
thing now. Like it's something that I remember the year that San Diego Comic-Con, which Comic-Con International, which is like the big one that everybody thinks about. New York Comic-Con is another big one now, but San Diego Comic-Con is like the one that it's like nerd mecca. I can remember the year where that like basically stopped being like a comic book convention and became more of like a pop culture convention. And like you go now and it used to be about comic books and it's about so much more now. And there's a lot of people that complain about, it's not about comic books anymore. There's something for everybody there. And I think that's the thing that people really love about these conventions. Anybody can go to these things if it's a well-run one and find something that they like, something that they're excited about.
Well, and I think, some people that think that like, it's gotten away from the niche that made it so popular. Like, there should be only comic books or there should be only X, Y, or Z. Like, open it up for more people. In fact, if there's something else there that somebody else likes more than what you like, you have a better chance of getting to see what you like.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because these are huge. I mean, there's thousands of people.
I mean, growing up, one of my dream trips was going to San Diego Comic-Con, and I didn't get to go until like a couple years ago, but I was actually kind of happy that it had become what it was because you can get into the comic panels and the panels that like I really kind of wanted to see a lot easier than you probably could have 10 years ago. And so but be prepared to wait in line.
Here's the thing about those conventions, and this is about anything for that matter. We talk about like Disney World as an example. Like for me, that is a thing that is, it's open every day of the year. They know the volume of people. They've been opening additional parks to try to accommodate. They do this, and there's a certain cost analysis or cost benefit because they make money whether you're standing in line or not. But
absolutely, yeah. Yep.
But I'm wondering, like, for these conventions, is there a way that they could do it better so that you don't have that?
They could be run so much more efficiently. And I know there's probably fire code and things like that where you can only have so many people going through the doors at once, and you have to make sure that they're in their seats and things like that. But and I've actually tested this when I've got my first convention was the one in Chicago, Wizard World Chicago. I went to that about a year and a half before I went to Comic-Con, and then I went to Emerald City in Seattle. But Comic-Con, like in San Diego, you can basically get two people to lean up against the wall, and people will form a line thinking that it's a line for something cool, like an exclusive.
There's two people gathered. It must be something.
And that's the thing, is that you get so used to being in lines that you just get into a line because you think there's something cool at the end of it.
Oh, see, that's what I do at like food events. Like if there's like a cook-off or a festival, like a rib fest or something like that, I get in the longest line because that must be the best food. Yeah. And so you kind of assume like whatever's the longest line has the greatest rewards at the end.
Like, for example, like the Comic-Con T-shirts every year. The first year they've done a much better job of this. They're sold, outside of the convention center now and things like that. But my first year there, I mean, it was like they've been doing it for like 40 plus years, and it was like they hadn't figured out an effective way to sell T-shirts.
That's crazy.
And like you're waiting in line all day for a T-shirt.
Well, but then again, it's one of those like supply and demand things. If they have, for instance, I would imagine one of the most expensive parts of a convention like that would be like the celebrity appearances. So let's say that you have celebrity X. Let's say you have John Olderman, the John Olderman booth, and you're going to take photos with people, etc. Let's say I have to pay you $1 million to be there that day.
Yeah.
And I'm going to limit it to 150 people or so many hours a day. Well, if I have you there 2 days, that's $2 million. I basically just say, come this one day, as many people get through can, but if you don't get a picture, I don't care. I've already got your money.
And there are celebrities that do that, like where they don't charge anything. They have signings that you just line up for, and they have a limited amount of people that can get through that line. But the amount of money that these celebrities make by just going to a convention, like Norman Reedus from The Walking Dead, makes 6 figures if he shows up for one day at one of these conventions.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And like he's guaranteed to bring that in. But the reason you get Norman Reedus is because you're guaranteed to sell that many more badges or tickets for that convention if he's there. But the thing that it's kind of frustrating for me about Comic-Con, I've been to Comic-Con 3 times, and the frustrating thing is they don't really release like the panel schedule until a couple weeks beforehand. And
you can't really plan it out.
Yeah, you can't really plan out like what you're going to do until you're there, and until you see like what the buzz is and things like that. But the first year that I went, probably the coolest thing was Workaholics was at the convention, and it was right when the show had first been on the air, and I went with my older brother and his wife, and we got in line for the Workaholics like signing, and it was going to be a free signing, but they did not prepare for like how popular that show was. Yeah. And so all of a sudden it went from line up and everybody will get something signed to we're going to do a lottery. You're going to draw a ticket out, and if you get like this color ticket, you get to get in the line. Otherwise, you have to go to the back of the line. And so they had so many tickets in this bucket that you drew. And I was my brother was one of the last ones to go. I was about midway up the line, but everybody that got into that line was guaranteed to get like a signature.
It's kind of cool for those celebrities who didn't think that they were as popular as they were.
And that was the thing. My brother was at the end of the line, and he got up there and he's talking to the guys from the show, and he's like, did you guys have any idea like that the show was this popular? And they had no idea. And it was to the point where they had like the Workaholics panel in like this panel room after the signing, but they were late for that because so many people were in line for the signing because the show was just huge, and Comic-Con had no idea that like Workaholics was that popular because it was the first or second year that it was on the air. But it was just so cool being able to interact with those people. But probably the cooler thing is when you're walking the streets of downtown San Diego and you just run into a celebrity.
Yeah, it's just like, hey, how's it going?
Yeah, and we ran into Zachary Levi on the sidewalk, and talked to him for like a couple seconds, but because I'm not one of those people that really wants to like bug somebody and things like that. You want to be like an annoying fan, but like the cool thing is that a lot of those celebrities that have like these, like he ran Geek HQ, which was like a gathering place for people for years and years at Comic-Con. And he was a guy that enjoyed going to Comic-Con back in the day, and he just kind of wanted to create some kind of experience for people where they could interact with celebrities and things like that away from the convention center. And so he was really cool and accommodating and was willing to talk and things like that. And that's the thing about the conventions that I think people really like is you're passionate about something, and I think the celebrities, for the most part, that go there understand that these people are passionate and they just want to interact with people that have brought their passion to life.
I think we've talked about this notion that can you be too much of a fan? Can you draw across the line? And I think we mentioned Trekkies where the lady who was enamored with one of the actors and lived half a mile away and would stand on her balcony and look it in the direction. And I'm like, I'm not sure if there are any stability issues along those lines where you're crossing the line of what you shouldn't do normally. You might be stalking or something. But a recent documentary I watched was about the brony phenomenon. Middle-aged men who are liking My Little Pony. And after I watched that documentary, my kind of mantra, and I've lived this for a while, is, you do you. I mean, if you're not hurting anybody, if you're not hurting yourself, do what you want to do and do what you feel. And the lady who did the documentary, she was a voice actress for the TV show. And she was asked to come to one of these conventions, and she was debating whether or not to do it because she thought, a middle-aged woman going into this like fest of men who apparently love My Little Pony. That is it going to be a creeper fest or what is it? And it seemed like she had a great experience, and there were people who just found a common interest with other people who happened to enjoy the cartoon. And I think that's one of the important things about these types of conventions. It's people getting together, being themselves, and enjoying things. And as long as you're not hurting yourself or other people, you do you.
Was it Tara Strong? She's
I
voiced like the characters on Rugrats and
I don't care
like that.
about people's names
all right.
or anything about their personal lives. So
I understand. No, I understand.
Who are you again? How'd you get
John Oderman.
Oh, okay, got it.
John Oderman.
Jean Oderman.
No, but like the thing that I thought was really cool, and I didn't know what to expect the first one I went to, because you see pictures online like of like cosplayers and things like that are really over the top, passionate about this or that, and I don't really understand that, but that's what they're passionate about. And the thing that I thought was really cool is there are these celebrities and these people that people really kind of worship the ground they walk on, but they treat them with like such respect. The last time I went to Comic-Con was with at the time she was my girlfriend and now my wife. We were in line for something, and Bruce Campbell from the Evil Dead movies, Army of Darkness, a great B movie actor. He was on Burn Notice and
Bubba Hotep.
Yeah, yes,
I'm digging deep.
Yeah,
no.
but I mean, like he's like a god at comic book conventions and pop culture conventions, and he walked like within inches of me. Like I could have reached out and like grabbed him and hugged him and like, Jess, quick take a picture of me strangling Bruce Campbell. But I mean, he probably would rip my arm off. But he just walked right by and nobody grabbed him. Nobody like freaked out. They were just like, "Oh, it's so cool. Bruce Campbell's walking by." And it was so funny because I saw him approaching, and he's with bodyguards. And these bodyguards, because they were trying to drive this car out, and the line was blocking the car. And Bruce Campbell was like, "Guys, I got this. Just watch." And it was like parting the Red Sea. Like Bruce Campbell just walked up and like spread his arms, and people just moved out of his way, like he was Moses splitting the Red Sea.
I think that people give fans a bad rap sometimes. I think that fans in a mob mentality can be dangerous, or individuals that again are not safe. They're not doing things that they normally would do and they're kind of bridging reality with fiction, there can be some danger there. But for the most part, these people are respectful. They're happy to have the encounter. They're happy to, be around these people and hear extra stories and tidbits and anecdotes about their careers and the shows. And I've only heard good things about these conventions. Now you hear the horror stories that come in the news, just like the Black Friday stories of people, old ladies getting beat up over a Tickle Me Elmo or something. But I would say by and large, that's kind of a more mythish.
I think it's more of like a one-on-one type of thing. Like if Bruce Campbell ran into somebody one-on-one, then he might have something to worry about. But you've got the power of I think for the most part, people are good. So if somebody did step out of line, other people would kind of pull them back into line type of thing at like a convention.
And it's weird though, because like how they kind of self-patrol. Because if this was a Black Friday, Bruce Campbell would be in 1,500 different parts. I got his ear.
There are situations though at conventions where it is a little bit like Black Friday, like where you're fighting for
over
position.
The stuff, but not
yeah,
the people.
yeah. I mean, and that's the thing is like Comic Cons, like conventions in general now. The big thing that I think has maybe gotten a little bit out of control are the con exclusives, and that was something that I was aware of, but didn't realize just how vicious people and how it's not even passion. They're just crazy about it. How they've got to get all the exclusives, and you have people that wait in line to wait in another line for a chance for a booth ticket so that you can go to that booth. Like the Hasbro booth has a line every morning. The Funko, which makes the Pop Vinyl figures,
and this is you don't get these free. You have to buy them.
You have to buy them. Yeah. So it's not like you're winning the lottery if you're one of the 150 people or whatever that get a booth ticket that day. You're buying these things, and if you're doing that, you either have to have a bunch of friends that are going to the convention or meet people that can go and wait in line for other stuff. Because if you want to go to any panels or anything like that, you got to get in line so that you can get into that room so that you're in a reasonable seat.
And see that's where I wonder, again, and I don't want to. I'm not these convention runners, and I don't know how much money they make, and it is a business, so I can't disparage them for making money. But at what point does it become a little unethical? Or not unethical. It's just they could do it in a better way. For instance, when we're talking about the products, they have online ticket sales. I'm imagining, and they have this and this. Why not just have those numbered? The first 100 people get to choose from the online items. You have an online store. You get one item or 3 items or whatever, and then the next week on a Monday, this time slots open up for the next 1,000 people. They get to order, and then they could ship those out. You minimize all the lines on those. People would still be able to visit the booths and look at products and stuff, and you wouldn't even have to ship it out until after Comic-Con. But that would be a way that you could streamline the process just with the products, so that people could, enjoy the panels.
To me, I think it's more about the artificial demand that you create. By making them hard to get, and there are some people
they can still be hard to get.
But there are some people though that I think they almost thrive on that experience of getting to the Funko booth before on the first day where I'm able to clean house and get all the pops that I want, or get through the Hasbro booth was one that I really liked because they had some really cool exclusives of this line of action figures that I really liked for a couple of years, and but I never waited in line for the Hasbro booth tickets. Every day, towards the end of the day, if they still have a good inventory available, they'll let people in. So you just kind of camp out by the beginning, the opening of the booth, and say, hey, you letting people in, and most of the time they're nice enough to let you in, and maybe you can buy a couple things. But but some of those convention exclusives are so cool. Like this year. At San Diego Comic-Con, they had a bunch of super cool pops. Yeah. And they're available in limited quantities outside of the con, but there's a better chance of getting it if you actually attend the convention.
Absolutely.
And I think that's one of the things that people it's gotten harder and harder to get tickets each year to Comic-Con now because of like that's where they're announcing like the big movies and the big comic books and but I think the exclusives and things that you can only get at the conventions are another big element to why you want to attend these.
Yeah, I just for me, I think it's not a disservice, but I just kind of feel like, man, like you have these fans that have gathered. You've got these people that are so diehard that they're willing to wait in line for days for a $10 pop figure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you've got these people that are willing to do that. If you were able to give them a little bit more, rent a, instead of a convention hall, rent a stadium, or something. And have the panel set up like halftime in the middle of the football field or something, or, make it so everybody could attend, or do it in such a way where you don't have to wait. Maybe make one day of the, 3, 4, 5 days, however long the convention is, the standing in line day. It's almost like the pre-conference. Before everything starts, if you want to get there a day early and stand in line, good. But this is the line day. And then after that, kind of go on from there.
See, and they do preview night. So that, that's a way people are supposed to get it out of the way, but you can't. There's very limited purchases available on preview night. So it's just one of those things where it could be run so much more efficiently. If they just over at Petco Field, which was right across the street from the convention center, they just set up vendors where you can just go to Petco and buy whatever you want.
Yeah,
then the convention is where you have the other stuff. But
and I know it might take away some of the excitement and the thrill. Black Friday is Black Friday because it's limited quantities and people need it fast. Blah, 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 blah. You get this adrenaline. But again, I feel like you miss out, and it's a little bit of a disservice to the people who are on the panels, as an example. Wouldn't you rather have 100,000 people at your panel than the 100 that were able to get tickets the night before and fit in a small room? It just feels like that's why they should run it more efficiently.
The thing that I thought, to me, the exclusives and the things that you can buy at the convention, you might be able to, I've been able to find some comic books I've been looking for years at these conventions and things like that. And that's all cool and well and good, and being able to see the celebrities at the different booths and stuff, maybe get something signed. But for me, it's that being able to interact with people that you're really passionate about something that they did, or for example, every single year that I've gone to Comic-Con, I've made a point to go to J. Scott Campbell's booth and buy something there because I love his art. That's something that we have in common, that we really enjoy the artwork of J. Scott Campbell. You're not a comic book fan, but
it's a
you
common
got a
interest.
great appreciation for him, and it was. I don't want to say he recognized me, but the last time I was there was oh yeah, I've seen this guy before. He's come the last 2 years, and being able to interact with those guys that you really appreciate their work and what they've done. And the first year that I went, like I said, it was my brother and sister-in-law. And if you followed my brother on Twitter that week that we were at Comic-Con, it was, I'm going to make fun of John as much as I possibly can and just ride him unendingly about being at Comic-Con. But by the end of the weekend, he was I understand why people are jacked up about this. This is really cool. And then the next year, the show that he really loved that was on Starz, Strike Back, had a panel. And he was gung-ho, I got to go to this thing. And we actually got T-shirts at the panel where it says something like, the world's not going to save itself or something like that. That's one of the slogans from the show. But we got in the front row of that. And there were maybe 50 people on the panel. I mean, it was not that that big of a show.
But it was cool,
but my brother
him.
loved it.
Yeah.
And he was sitting in the front row, and he looked like a kid on Christmas morning. He was just so jacked that he was able to yell things out to these guys where they interacted with him and they laughed at what he had to say and things like that. And that to me is the first convention I ever went to. I went up to this artist that I really love, this comic book artist, and didn't really want anything signed by him, or I bought something from him just because I felt like I needed to. But just being able to shake his hand and say, hey, thanks for doing what you do because I really appreciate your work.
Well, I think in some ways these conferences or conventions, and even if you look at some of the things that have been around a little bit longer, Star Trek conventions and stuff, it's just a real testament to the diehard fans.
Yeah.
And I think that can be important to the celebrities, because I think a lot of times they talk it in dollars and cents. Oh, I was able to get $1 million increase in my contract because people like this show. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, 50 billion people watch this. You get those numbers, but you don't get those personal interactions and those, like, you changed my life thing.
Yep.
And wow, you got me through a rough time with some jokes on your sitcom. And it's those things that I think they're impactful for those celebrities and make them want to keep coming back. Oh, and the 6-figure income.
Yeah, absolutely.
But beyond that.
And another cool thing is, I'm talking a lot this episode, but the thing that I really, really, really love is walking around like the showroom floor of these conventions and going to the different vendors that are, whether it be Artist Alley, where there's a bunch of different like professional artists, amateur artists that happen to just buy a table at the convention or what, but seeing like the different mashups and the different art styles and things like that you see at these different booths. And that was something that Jess really loved when we went. And we bought way more original art than I thought we would, and way more prints than I thought we would. And we've actually got a couple hanging in the nursery for the new baby, because there was this really cool like childlike style Chewbacca with a lunchbox, like where it looks like he's waiting for the bus.
And this is which artist?
I can't think of her name, but it was just this artist that had a table at Comic-Con, and Jess saw it and she's like, we got to get that for like when we have a kid.
That's fun.
And then there's another one where it's Groot and Rocket Raccoon, and they're like catching like snowflakes, and it's that kind of stuff that I think like gives the convention goers like more of a deeper experience, where you're seeing these people take something that's special to you and turn it into something new. There's another great one that Jess had to buy, where it's almost kind of like a breakfast club, Princess Leia and Han Solo. And it's just really cool, and we're gonna hang it up in the house, and I've got a lot of stuff that Jess will not let me hang up in the house.
Oh, really?
But the
stuff, where does she draw the line?
Yeah, well, I've got a lot of comic book like original art.
Okay.
And that'll go in my office someday when I finally have one. But I just like kind of did an inventory of everything in my house, and I have so many framed prints.
Yeah.
And
there's only so much
art
wall
and
space.
Stuff. Yeah, and you only have so much wall space, and it's incredible how much I actually have. And I'm gonna have to draw a line. She's gonna draw the line, but I'll say that it was me.
Yeah, you'll be the bigger man there.
Yes,
you'll take that.
But no, I mean that's we got to go sometime.
Oh, I don't sign me up. I mean, you tell me the when and where, I'll be there.
And you're so creative, Josh, that maybe like you can maybe even like sew us some costumes and we can cosplay or something.
I have a limited fabric budget, so I'm thinking maybe Lilu Dallas.
One thing
from Fifth Element.
Well,
both of us.
I've already done it. I don't like to go as the same character, but okay. One thing that we might want to look into is a lot of circuses are going out of business, and I'm sure the tents we can get for cheap, really? And that should be enough fabric for both of us for like 1 or 2 costumes.
Sure, yeah, that could be enough fabric.
Yeah.
So we need something with stripes and the smell of elephant. that's the kind of cosplay
I think we can come up with something.
Yeah. Well, you got the new live action Dumbo coming out.
Oh,
so we can be
done. Well, something with that. We could like maybe be the ringmaster. I don't know.
That's another convention. The D23 Expo. It's the Disney one.
And we're running out of time here, but the amount of conventions that are available for people now. I was listening to the radio today. There's like a crime con now that Nancy Grace is kind of like heading up, where you're going to go and like it's like I think amateur crime solvers or something like that, where you can go and talk about these different crimes and stuff. Back in the 90s, survival cons were like a big thing. Like where they have conventions for everything. There's specific like Doctor Who conventions. There's Star Wars conventions now. They have Celebration is a big Star Wars convention every year that they do. So I mean, there's something for everyone. But I really like kind of like those catch-all ones where there's something for everybody, and kind of, like I said, San Diego Comic-Con is like nerd mecca. I mean, there's something for everybody there, but there's a lot of conventions now that are kind of taking that approach and are for everybody. So I would say I recommend to people start with a smaller one just so you kind of know what you're looking for, what you like. Maybe go for like a day or two just to check it out, and then see if you're ready for that bigger one. Because I don't think that's one that you want to just jump in with both feet. You
got to start small. You got to ease yourself into it, baby steps. I mean, that's how you do it. You don't want to overwhelm yourself. That's what you don't want to do. Because conventions they're fun, but you got to do it the right way.
Yeah, and the best way not to overwhelm yourself is stand in a line.
Stand in a line. And ladies and gentlemen, if you don't like standing in lines, go ahead and listen to Pop Culture Problems. Our website has barely any traffic, so there's no lines. So,
or better yet, listen to it on a portable speaker while you're in line.
Absolutely, double dip. Kill two birds with one stone, or maybe even three.
Maybe multiply our listenership by one person to 3 or 4.
Oh, I mean, and here's the thing. Thousands of percentages will be increasing. Two birds with one stone. And if you can get double line, maybe foot in one line, foot in the other, I'm looking for bird genocide. You need to get your money's worth out of these conventions.
And like we said at the beginning, if you do this, portable speaker, spread the word, raise the listenership by thousands of percent each week, or if you're at a convention, hopefully you can raise it by a couple millionth of a percent over a weekend. Next line you might be waiting for is Pop Culture Problems
Absolutely.
Convention.
Bring your speakers with. Don't bring your
2030
earbuds,
because it might take that long. But
don't bring your earbuds. Play it for everybody in the line, and we will be sure to stay at that booth until we sign every single piece of memorabilia you bring. Ladies and gentlemen, thanks for listening to Pop Culture Problems. We'll see you next time.